I take a moment to orient myself through the senses of my adult self to the willow tree, the distant sound of the river, and Quan Yin sitting before me. I stare curiously at my 7-year-old body fast asleep in her arms. My eyes suddenly feel overcome by heaviness as I witness deep wounds, dark bruises, and infested cuts slowly begin to appear across the landscape of my inner child's little body. I look at Quan Yin in horror, my eyes searching hers for an understanding of what I am witnessing unfold before me. Quan Yin speaks. These are those long-forgotten, hidden wounds that continue to unconsciously control your awareness with frightful thinking. Memories, both known and unknown to you, are surfacing as a map of your past across the body of your inner child, to now be healed by the witnessing power of your higher self. I peer closer at the wounds. They seem to be written as stories compressed into the little body of my inner child. Emotionally stirred, I ask, why would anyone hurt an innocent child? Quan Yin replies, they did not know how to stop what they did. The suffering it takes to wound a child in such a way as this, or in any way at all, is a suffering beyond logic. As a wild animal bent over in maddening pain strikes without thought, so too the human awareness possessed by suffering cannot stop itself from hurting others. Suffering exacts such acts of pain upon others without reason, for suffering is the true definition of insanity. I began to calculate how many times I had suffered in the past and unconsciously acted out from that suffering. I considered how universal this suffering is within humanity, especially how great one must be suffering to actually hurt the little body before me. Moved by the illumination of compassion, I curiously ask, how can my higher self heal my little body? Quan Yin smiles at me and offers, first, you must choose to recognize the absolute innocence of your inner child. These wounds are artifacts from the insanity of suffering. These wounds have absolutely nothing to do with the purity and worthiness of the child's heart. At this young age, there was nothing this little one could have done to stop what happened to them by the words and deeds of others. Can you forgive yourself for choosing to be so young in this little body? Can you forgive yourself for becoming temporarily vulnerable to the insanity of others' suffering? I look at the young body resting in Quan Yin's arms and realize that I must be willing to forgive myself so that these wounds will lift and heal. I decide that I love my inner child too much to resist this self-compassion and self-forgiveness any longer. My inner child deserves to never suffer again and to only know my unconditional love and acceptance. I now choose to use my sovereign creative power to free every wound from the past that I see compressed into this little body. On behalf of my inner child, I call upon my higher self now in command. I accept that I hold the golden keys to my heaven on earth. I accept that I create my reality by the power of my word. My word is good. My heart is pure. By the loving power of my pure word, I call forth and declare blessings of unconditional compassion for myself now. By the power of my I am presence, I now forgive myself for every experience of suffering in my past. By the power of my I am presence, I now forgive myself for every unresolved painful memory. By the power of my I am presence, I now forgive myself for every moment of life lost in the amnesia of my unconscious wounds. By the power of my I am presence, I now forgive myself for every addiction to unconsciously perpetuate further suffering. By the power of my I am presence, I now forgive myself for every experience of others as a threat to my innocence. By the power of my I am presence, I now forgive myself for withholding from unconditionally forgiving myself. By the power of my I am presence, I now summon and receive the unconditional compassion that I deserve to give myself. By the power of my I am presence, I now summon and receive the unconditional divine love that I deserve to give myself. By the power of my I Am presence, I now summon the cleansing waters of my Holy Spirit to baptize me from the suffering of my past. By the power of my I Am presence, I now summon my higher self to atone for every wound. By the power of my I Am presence, I now summon the 1,000 hands and eyes of Sophia to bless my body, heart, and mind for my innocence to be experienced anew. By the power of my I Am presence, I now command these wounds, seen and unseen, conscious and unconscious, to now be dissolved by the holy water and light of my invincible innocence. By the power of my I Am presence, I now summon and welcome my higher self to operate my awareness with radiant self-compassion every day. I declare that my self-compassion creates a new relationship with life that is filled with the blessings of happiness, love, joy, peace, and prosperity that I deserve. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum.